What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Christopher Manyweather here with Dead Stock Barbershop. If you guys are new to my channel, I make videos right here on YouTube to help you take your barbering career the furthest in the shortest amount of time. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, make sure that you subscribe and turn on your notifications. This haircut is going to be a simple cut. I want you guys to follow along as I get my boy James all the way together. As you can see, he hadn't had a haircut in a few weeks, almost a month, and we're just going to clean him up. So what he gets is a taper on the sides, but it's a very light taper. The guard that I'm using right now is a number 1 guard, and I'm actually going to take it down as low as a number 1 against the grain as far as the guard goes. But right now what you see me doing is taking his hair down to what most people would consider a wavelength. This is a 1 all the way close on my Andis cordless masters, and I'm just following the shape that his hair grows, that natural growth pattern. One thing that really helps you see that growth pattern is following the waves. His waves are going to be brushed in his natural growth pattern, and so you just follow that pattern if your client has waves. And as you can see, my guy is thinning in the top. This is my boy. We're getting older, man. My boy just had a birthday last month, just turned 33. And yeah, man, we're getting old. So I'm going to show you guys a tip and a trick to fix that area to where it blends in and you can't really tell. And that'll be without the use of enhancements. Though I have no problem with enhancements, eventually that stuff's going to come out and you're going to be left with this haircut. And I want him to be able to enjoy the haircut for the remainder of the time until it grows back out. So I'm just spinning, making sure that I got every loose hair, making sure that it's as smooth as possible. So now we're gonna get ready to taper it. And like I said, it's a very light taper. He doesn't like it hit hard at all. So basically what I do is I'll start off with the clippers closed with that guard on, and I'll just open it up as I go up, just like any other taper, but just with this guard on, and I'm just gonna blend it together. So basically you'll be able to see the C cup and everything pretty well. He doesn't want the back taper. We just round that out in the back. And I'm gonna do the same thing to this side. This is a very basic, simple haircut. I like to flip the clippers over and work on that beard, just blend it in a little bit better. All right, so in the front, as you can see, what I do is I flip my clippers over and I'm actually gonna cut that part against the grain, and I'm just gonna hit at the darker areas. You don't cut everything, you just cut those dark spots. So as you can see, they're starting to light up, and then once I put this edge on it, it's gonna look a lot smoother. It won't look as if those areas are standing out or if he's thinning as much. You can put a nice clean line on him. And as always, I like to start in the middle and work my way right or work my way left, but I always start in the middle so I can have a good perspective of what his hairline is doing. I can see both sides. I can see the strongest points, the weakest points, and I can just connect those lines. So the reason I started on going from the middle to the right is because his hairline was weaker on the right. After a while of doing this, you can kind of see it before you even connect it. Your eyes will just kind of pick up on it. You'll see exactly where you should put it. Some of us, we call it a ghost line. And you definitely want to make sure, especially when a guy is starting to thin or recede at all, you don't want to push the edge up back. You want to put it right where it needs to be, not too far back, because this will ensure that that customer keeps coming to you. At this age and stage of life, people are not trying new barbers. They don't want to find a new barber. They want a good barber who knows their edge up, that's not going to try to do anything magnificent or extra special. They just want it done right and not push back. So you guys pay attention to what I'm doing and how I do it. And as always, I start at the top of the C cup and go down and around, and then I'll come back from the bottom and I'll go up and around. And it makes sure that I'm getting each hair. Sometimes those hairs, as you slide one way, they'll start to go that way. So when you come back, kind of, I guess you can call it against the grain, then you'll catch some of those hairs. But make sure that you're using a comb or brush to make those hairs lay back down naturally as well. And I'll do the same thing with the beard. And just connect that line, hit it a few times, get it as sharp as possible without irritating the skin. And to the back of the beard, you want to make sure that you're leaving this line as natural as possible. Most people don't want that line pushed in, and you just want to hit it and clean it up. Right here is when I start to go behind the ear as well, because this curve that leads into the back of the ear is just as important as the C cup. You know, you want everything, every line to be clean, crispy, and on point. It's funny because back in the day, I used to neglect that area behind the ear. Like in my earlier days of cutting, especially when I was cutting my own hair, it's like, shoot, I can't really see it, so I'm not tripping. But now I know the difference that it makes for an overall cut and cleanliness and just the overall allure of the cut. So I'm all about time management and trying to stay on point with my appointments. So what I like to do is certain things, like if I'm in this area cleaning up, like what I'm doing right now, I'll start to clean up that neckline so I can just be efficient and save some time later on. So once I take that drape off, I can hit him real quick and he'll be done. So as you can see, I'm using the corner of the blade to go over the ear and clean that line up and just make it as sharp as possible. You know, it's nothing wrong with taking a little extra time to do this part of the haircut. Normally we just rush through it and it doesn't really matter to us, but every little thing matters. So as you can see, I started off with a diagonal line, but he's gonna be rounded in the back. So I'll make the line straight underneath and then I'll just start to round out those corners. And this is how I get really nice curved edges in the back. I know you guys are probably thinking like, bro, why didn't he taper it out? This is his head. He doesn't want to taper. I've tapered it from time to time, but in the winter, he says, this is my winter cut. I don't get no tapers in the back. So I don't argue with the man. He's the boss. And so I'm always checking my perspective, seeing the shape. You know, is it rounded? Is it as round as it could possibly be while staying low and sort of natural? Because a round edge up is definitely not a natural edge in the back. And I'm going to do the same thing right here. Use those corners for those, use the corner of the blade for over the ear, and then use my full blade when I'm making any straight lines. Same thing here. Start at the top of the C cup and I work my way down, putting that shape in. Then I'm gonna come back around, clean it up. This is how you can get really sharp, crispy C cups. And as I always say, whatever you do to one side, you're gonna do the same exact thing to the other side. We are trying to go for consistency. We're looking for symmetrical haircuts. You don't want one side to be higher or lower than the other. You don't want to do one thing on one side and not do it to the other. Symmetry. So back here, we're gonna hit that beard, make it clean, but leaving it as natural as possible. So if it slants in the back, we're gonna keep it slanted in the back. If it's straight down in the back, it's gonna go straight down in the back. But what we don't do is push it in unless they ask us to do it. Usually the only time they have a preference is when somebody has done something wrong. So right now I'm connecting the back of the beard to the over the ear. And as you can see, I'm just taking my time with it. I say in all, this haircut probably took me around 22 to 23 minutes. I know it wasn't long at all. Of course, you can do this haircut a lot faster because it's not a fade to it. So right now I'm just going over the edge, checking it out, cleaning it up. Always starting from the middle. As you can see, I look in the middle and I get my perspective all the way together. Make sure that you guys can see both sides of that line. And as you can see, I lean back so I can see if it's straight or not. So right here, his mustache is growing out, his whole beard is growing out, but I like to cut the mustache down because it will grow and curve over their mouth, and most people hate that. Any detail work, as you can see, I always use the corner of my blade whenever I'm going over their lips or anything like that. Any straight lines, I use the full blade, as you can see. All right, so now we're gonna get ready to shape up his beard. We're combing it out. His hair is not super thick, so I just use a little small tooth comb, or the big end of a small comb. And these are my JRL clippers that I do most of my shape up work with, just because that blade, it is a surgical blade and it's very sharp. These things can cut you. So as I'm doing this kind of work, I'm changing my angles. I'm looking for any loose hairs. He doesn't want to take his beard down. He just wants it cleaned up. So we're not going in for like a super shaping, but more so of a cleanup of the loose hairs. Now I get him to look up. I use my trimmers, clean his neckline. Gonna do the same thing on this side. Connect those two lines. And that's the end of the cut, y'all. Thank you guys so much for valuing what I provide. Thank you for liking and sharing and commenting and all those different things that you guys do. I appreciate you for sticking around and watching this video. I hope that it was able to help someone. You know, I've been getting a lot of feedback here lately, so I'm definitely grateful for everybody I've been able to help. This is the cut. I'll see you guys tomorrow for day 23. Road to 25. Who knows? I may stick around and do 30 days straight of Vlogmas, but I will let you guys know. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.